You do a toad impression.
The toad?
Ribbit. What's the toad?
Ribbit.
Beaver Dam, Wisconsin's got peppers and a stage. Beaver Dam, Kentucky's where Bill Monroe first played. Beaver Dam, anywhere the people all say, have a gosh dang beaver darn great damn day.
The Great Beaver Fiasco, that's us. We are back for episode 5B, we'll call it. I'm one of your hosts on this podcast that somehow is still ridiculously unnecessary, your host, Thomas Rayfeld.
I'm L.A. Bass.
And I'm Craig Warmbold, and before the podcast is over, we are all going to be doing our impersonations of Jason Statham.
Yes.
We're going to explain how that's coming into this episode in a little bit, but if you haven't already, you can always find the Great Beaver Fiasco on the Supper Club Media channel. You can like and follow us there. We sometimes have shorts and full episodes.
Sometimes we're in our pants,
Sometimes
so it's
we're
fine.
wearing clothes. This is one of those pants days, thankfully. And I'm wearing long
Well,
socks,
we can't
so
speak
I
for
don't look
Craig.
ridiculous.
It's a pants day.
Is it? Okay, good.
Oh, look at that, a dark gray. That's a great color.
Thank you.
You can also listen to us on Spotify and Podbean, The Great Beaver Fiasco. Like and follow us on Facebook, and you can also check us out on Instagram. But we're definitely more active on Facebook by far.
Yes. Very active on Facebook. We call Mark Zuckerberg on a daily basis, and we're just like, Mark, how are the numbers looking? And, he hasn't gotten back to us yet, but I feel like we're building a relationship.
We're getting that way. We are earning our Facebook sweat one drip drop at a time. As you may have noticed, or may not have noticed, this episode will be dripping with just the three of us, you guys. We're not having a special guest. We are each other's special guests, rewarding each other with each other's presence.
We're our own grandpa and our own special guests.
Well, we are very special people, and I guess we are guesting in people's homes or workplaces or cars or wherever they're listening to us.
Where else could they be listening? They could be listening at a campground. They might choose to listen in a coffee shop.
Do you think astronauts would listen to us? Astronauts on the spaceship?
They could. I don't know if they want to.
Major Tom, I'm tuning in to the Great Beaver Fiasco.
I'm not sure what their bandwidth allowances.
That's
if they're
right.
like,
They couldn't stream us.
I understand if they wanted to download the latest Curb Your Enthusiasms instead of listening or watching us, but.
That would be pretty easy, right? You just kind of find NBC satellite or something and just jack right into it.
Well, yeah.
Maybe you lasso and you bring it in close and get that top tier reception.
Well, that's if you want to watch Ted Lasso. But I mean, we have geniuses up there in outer space right now. So I mean, if they can hack anything, I would think so. At least the Americans.
Geniuses or genius-I?
That's. I think they're geniuses. They would be geniuses.
We also have geniuses listening to our podcast.
I've heard that.
I know because I know some of the people who are listening. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for
You
listening.
are much more qualified to be starting your own podcast than we are, and yet the relationship is now reversed. But we will go through some of our news from the local beavers around the area. We will also just ask about how our week is going in just a moment. And we have a hat, the same bowler hat that we had Annette Camps and Roger Knoll, previous participants on the Great Beaver Fiasco, dip their fingers in and pull out their fate in a single question, and we're going to be doing the same.
Not the same questions, but the same hat.
No, it wasn't that something that our last guest picked out the same question as the previous guest, because A, we've been making an effort to not put the pieces of paper back into the bowler hat, and B, all the pieces of paper just fell out for me right before that. Thomas, you know what that's like. I think you just experienced that.
I just dropped them all on the floor not 20 minutes ago.
Something I have never done yet, so...
Yeah, you have.
Oh, do you want to hold the hat? Do you want to just
sure,
put it on?
I'll hold it.
I'll
balance that hat.
When you put it on.
Okay, all right, I'll hold it.
Put the hat in your lap. That's perfect.
There. It's in my lap. It's going to be a little bit warm.
Do we want a quick check-in? We mentioned it, how our weeks are going, and I think you started last time we did this, LA. But
I did.
Would you
so
like to
somebody else should know. Somebody else should go first this time.
I was telling you guys before the program that I took my wife to the Four Seasons Island Resort, and it was a beautiful, beautiful time. We really enjoyed the Four Seasons Island Resort. The windshield wipers on the car on the way there, it was raining and the windshield wipers broke, and I had to put new windshield wipers on. We were driving.
That sounds terrible.
That was a year ago. We were driving and we were in Waupun, and the windshield wiper fell apart again. The same
while you were
trip,
driving?
1 year later. One year later, the end of it became detached and it like flew off. Gonna definitely need a new wiper on the passenger side. But it was clicking every time it would go to the one end. So the windshield wiper would go like a windshield wiper normally goes.
Yeah.
But it was going like click click click, and eventually we're just like, what in the heck is that noise?
Yeah.
You think we would have caught it sooner?
Kind of sounded like a small dog was caught on the wiper.
And now if you guys,
Dogs
when
don't
you
sound
tell
like
your
that.
stories, would introduce sound effects just like I did, we could keep everything even Steven.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to try that. I don't know. It was kind of an uneventful week. I moved into a new apartment this last week. No dogs were thrown from their windshield wipers in the move at any point in time.
That's awesome. I mean, first of all, there's nothing like better than like the first night in your own place. Even if nothing is unpacked, even if you're sleeping on the floor, there's something about it.
Do you really think so? It's okay. So I know Beaver Dam. It's not like a new city or anything for me, but you're still like in an environment where someone else's iPhone is bleeding through the wall a little bit. There's sounds outside. It's a different space. It shouldn't be entirely comfortable that first night.
Well, and
Should
it
be
also
unusual.
doesn't have your scent yet. It takes about a year for any place to actually get your scent.
I feel like my house still
You haven't
smells
seen
like
me
the house
perspire.
did when we moved in. It's like, oh yeah, but it's an old house.
Yeah.
You're not sweating enough. That's the issue, Craig.
Well, that might be
You
it.
have to
gotta get
sweat
a
a lot and then go
sponge
rub
and
yourself
just
up against the walls and the
Sponge
door.
your odor into every crack you can around the home.
Yeah, just kind of, move that scent around like an animal.
Well, I feel like the FCC is going to require us to edit out portions of this podcast so far. So, Thomas, that first night, though, I mean, you'll probably never sleep in that area the way you did that first night. I'm guessing like you pulled up in.
What do you mean by that? My bed's not moving. I'm not changing my angle 10 degrees every night, Craig.
So you slept in your bed the first night?
Yeah, so it's been my mattress. It's a mattress I'm very comfortable with. I've had a lot of memories of sleeping on that mattress for the last 7 years. So the bed was familiar, but it was the space around me and
Exactly.
the acoustics that's different.
And the bed had your
But
scent.
maybe I just
then.
need to spray. Right. Maybe I just need to spray my
Good.
odor to the rest of the room,
What would that sound like?
like a beaver, kind of like. Right.
I thought
Kind of
maybe it would sound like
Spider-Man,
steam
but-
escaping.
And it's not your sound yet. I used to live next to a highway, so semi-trucks emergency braking, it's very annoying. I was like, "Arr."
Oh, wow.
And there's some towns that have ordinances against when trucks can actually use that brake because
Yeah.
it is so disruptive. But that's always been a sound, kind of like the smell of manure that reminds me of home. Those are familiar sounds. So, a garbage truck coming on a Tuesday morning now, I'm not quite used to that.
I love the smell of maneuvering, though. I mean, I think if you're able to pivot just right, it's like the smell of
Well,
victory.
especially when people have to maneuver manure.
Speaking of leather products, Ellie, how was your past week?
It was fast, but leather products, I don't remember that part of my week.
That would be a different podcast altogether, I think. Wow.
But it was just fast. It was a fast week. So I'm trying to even remember what happened. My oldest daughter celebrated her birthday last week.
That's right.
So
Happy birthday.
yeah, so that's always kind of like, what's the right word? Like a little bit of a mental breakdown.
Wow.
That's a very intense phrase. to
very
use.
bluegrass.
Very bluegrass.
Yeah, it's
That wasn't bluegrass, that was jazz.
it was good. My oldest daughter just turned 26 in the last few
Okay.
weeks, so I know what that's like. Especially when it's the oldest, you kind of take a pause as a parent and think like, wow, we've really come quite a long way, haven't we?
Yeah.
So it's a special time to celebrate your daughter, but do you dread the birthday when it comes as well?
No, I don't dread the birthday because I realize that I'm not a terrible person, so it's not all about me. Obviously I'm happy that she's able to celebrate her birthdays and that she's reached this milestone. It's just that I think once they're getting up there, like now she's closer to 30 than 20. And
Dun, dun, dun.
And I mean, I think obviously, I'm very pro aging. Like, I feel like
We're all doing it.
It's only going one direction.
I mean, like pro-aging as far as like,
That's right.
I will not be invisible just because I'm a woman over 50. You are going to see me. Like, that's just how I am. And if you don't see me, then you're going to hear me because, for too long, I think women, once they're past 50, they just kind of, in our society, they tend to not be as valuable. And I think that's a shame.
I agree. I agree completely. And it is really unfortunate, Thomas, that we have to announce that this is LA's last podcast. I was not aware that she was over 50. Did you know that?
We're making some staffing changes here on the Fiasco.
Tune into episode 6A. It's going to be quite a humdinger as Thomas and I welcome our new special guest host. What was the term you used earlier today, Thomas? Age is nonlinear. I mean, it's linear, scientifically, but it's nonlinear in a mental sense.
Well, right. Because I was complaining about, now we're talking about my groin, but I pulled a muscle in my groin
There was
yesterday.
no reason for you to bring your groin into this conversation. You could have made your point without your groin.
I have to mention the groin because that's what led to this conversation about age being alinear, because I was running yesterday, and I don't like running. I like working out. Running is not one of those things. And I must have overstretched my left groin a little bit. And so I'm like 31, right? I shouldn't say I'm 31. And yet I felt like I was 40. But there are some 60-year-olds that feel like they're 30. What does that even mean?
Yeah, 40 felt great for me. It was a great year.
Thank you for not making us feel... It's really about us, Craig. Like, thank you, LA, for not making us feel like we need to talk about how old we're feeling. Because you're setting the tone for the rest of the podcast.
I don't think that was a compliment from either one of you, actually. But that's okay, because I don't need them, so...
And that's the Great Beaver Fiasco.
That's right, yeah.
And that was the last episode they ever did.
Coming up in just a little bit, our impersonations of action star Jason Statham. It promises to be a riveting segment.
We've got that and more, but let's get a check of our damn news.
And look at this. Our top story is Jason Statham. Who would have guessed this, that the biggest news out of the world of beaverdom is Nick Swardson. I don't know.
Wait, is it Swardson?
Nick Swardson. Nick Swardson. Sorry. You know what he's from, LA?
I know you were prepared for the story.
Were you ever a fan of any of the stuff that he's done?
No.
Did you ever watch Reno 911?
Maybe 5 minutes of it.
Oh, okay. I didn't watch it a ton, but I definitely saw episodes that he was on.
He was a Comedy Central staple. He had his own show for a while. He was in a lot of movies that were not very good, but he was always like a magnetic point, I think. Nick Swardson was one of those names. Like, you said the name, like, oh yeah, of course, I've seen him before.
Right, exactly. A staple of Comedy Central, as you said. Well, he made headlines here since we've taped our last podcast because he had a big show in Beaver Creek, Colorado. And it was last Sunday, as of the taping of this show. And he came out and he promised to do his impersonation of Jason Statham. And he didn't do it right away. Then he promised to do it again and again and again. And then 20 minutes later, he was escorted off said stage of Beaver Creek, Colorado. Have you guys ever found yourself in front of an audience intending to do an impersonation and then being escorted off? Is that... No?
I feel like we're pretty close to being pulled off this show at any time.
Trying to think, and no.
I felt pretty bad. I saw the stuff come out over Twitter, and individually, it didn't seem like he was doing too bad. There's one person who put something up on Twitter, and he says, okay, I'm going to do my Jason Statham impersonation, for example. I'm like, well, that's not so bad. But then I guess to hear that over and over and over again, boy, nothing like bombing.
It seems like he just kind of just lost the groove. He was stuck. Did he do anything before, or was that his opening segment and that was just it?
It's my understanding he did edibles before, so I think that would pretty much. I believe
just edibles or edibles and drinkables.
Well, he said that as a word of warning to people out there, edibles and low and high altitudes cause brain diarrhea, quote unquote.
Ooh.
Oh, so he's having a little fun with himself then.
He's rescheduled. He's told the people of Beaver Creek, Colorado, that he will make it up to them. I think they should have kept him out there. I think they should have let him bomb. I think one of the most, I don't know if you guys are familiar with comedian Bill Burr.
Bill Burr.
Yes.
Bill Burr. Yeah,
Yes.
Bill Burr. He has got the best fail of all time. And the video is out there. It's a bootleg video of it, so it's not like anything he officially released. But he was in Philadelphia or some East Coast community, and he started just bombing. So he took it out on the audience, and he just went for 45 minutes telling Philadelphians where to stick it, basically. And,
kidding me?
And every name in the book and every derogatory statement. And it is something to behold. Like the first 20 minutes of it is really uncomfortable to a certain degree.
There's almost like an Andy Kaufman moment. Like it's kind of like a thought piece at that point. Like, is he making fun of Jason Statham is unable to say his own name for 20 minutes? And this is some sort of deep reflection on the state of action heroes in contemporary America?
Brilliant insight, and what a great comparison. No, you're exactly right. Andy Kaufman should have cleared the way for Nick Swardson to be able to just fail beautifully. You know, that was his whole shtick. If there's one gift that Andy Kaufman, who I firmly believe in the next 7 to 10 years is going to pop out of a cake somewhere and be like, surprise, no question in my mind that he just decided to take like a 50-year hiatus as a joke.
Did Andy Kaufman die?
That's
That's
supposedly
the
he
joke?
did.
The mystery.
I am not alone in my theory that, you know, this could all just be the most elaborate joke of all time. And he would go down in history as, I mean, you would have to rewrite a new Guinness Book of World Records if Andy Kaufman were to make the joke even better, is if it were a total Forrest Gump moment and he then presented all of the pictures of him at major events in America over the past 40 years, just standing there, just plainly standing there in sight, just one little face in the corner in the background of the audience, and nobody has noticed for 40 years. And here he is like Forrest Gump telling the president, I drank too much Dr. Pepper and I got to pay, and then boom, there's Andy Kaufman, the man in the moon.
So you'd see like George H.W. Bush in front of the aircraft carrier, mission accomplished, and right above that banner, just Andy just giving you a thumb, like, hey, there's Andy Kaufman up there.
That's right.
That'd
Yeah,
be hilarious.
I mean,
I'm certainly not going to watch the Oscars.
Did you see any of the movies that are up?
Oh, what are they?
Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Did not see either one.
I had my teacher in 8th grade was Mrs. Oppenheimer, so you'll have to excuse me
about her?
for mispronouncing that. Sorry, Mrs. Oppenheimer.
No, there'd be another studio like a Lionsgate, like, okay, let's try and make another movie to kind of bank off the success of Oppenheimer. It's Oppenheimer.
Right. Yeah, it's about an Irish octogenarian who taught 8th grade in suburban Chicago, Illinois. It's
I would see that movie. I would see it, yes.
And that's a check of your damn news. We need to take a damn break, and we're going to be back here in just a few damn minutes to ask each other some damn questions in our next damn segment.
Hi, this is Craig, and on behalf of all of us here at the Great Beaver Fiasco, we want to thank Chris and the good folks at Art on the Town in downtown Beaver Dam for generously furnishing us with a location to record our ridiculously unnecessary podcast. Art on the Town is a studio for creative experiences for all ages, interests, and skill levels. They offer classes. You can paint your own pottery. There's drop-in art-making experiences, exhibition space. You could use their studio and materials for your own creative endeavors. Whether you're looking for fun, creative experiences with friends and family, or are interested in learning how to become proficient at a specific type of art making, Art on the Town at 127 Front Street offers all of that and more. Check them out at artonthetownwi.com. Those of us here at the Great Beaver Fiasco know you'll have a gosh dang beaver darn great damn time at the Art on the Town studio in downtown Beaver Dam.
And welcome back to the Great Beaver Fiasco. You can always like and follow us on Supper Club Media for YouTube, and you can find us streaming audio on Spotify and Podbean. Like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Guys, we are back for a truncated segment because we have the hat of questions. Our little bowler hat is loaded with questions that we usually ask our special guests during this time of the Great Beaver Fiasco. But instead, we're going to be...
We are our own special guests today.
We will be yanking these questions for our own question answering.
LA, I just want to let you know how special I think you are. You're really special.
Well, I think you're special too, Craig.
Oh, thanks,
Yeah.
LA. I appreciate that.
And Thomas,
I
yeah.
think I'm special.
You
are.
You should think that. That's a good thing for you to think, Thomas.
It's keeping me motivated.
Good job, Thomas.
Well, who wants to pull the very first question from our hat here?
Well, I'm holding the hat, so I think that means that I can't pull the first question.
Okay.
Oh.
Then I'm
So-
reaching in right now.
All right.
What is your most unexpected wildlife encounter? The most unexpected would probably have been this last summer. In August, I was in Wyoming, and I was doing a 47-mile backpacking adventure through these mountains. And we were worried about bears. We all had bear spray that we rented from the airport. We were worried about that. We were prepared for it. And we just started 15 minutes. Suddenly, the guy in front of me who was in my group stopped. He's like, "Whoa, bear." And I was like, oh, he probably sees a bear up on this ridge. No, I get over right next to him, and the bear is maybe 40 feet away. It's a mama black bear with 2 of her cubs. And they're just living their life, their best life on this trail in Wyoming. On the other side of the trail, this woman comes across and she sees the bear and she's like, "Whoa, stop." She had 5 or 6 people behind her. She's going back. "Get back, it's a bear." And we all end up waiting, just kind of yelling at the bear for the next 10 minutes. The cubs just looking around, standing on their back feet like, "What's going on? Why do we have an audience? Where are more berries? Mom, I'm hungry." And they finally make their way back, but that was the closest I've ever been to a mama bear and her cubs.
Ooh,
Oh.
scary.
I am so glad that you got that question because I don't know that I would have any answer, and certainly no answer anywhere near as close as your detailed answers. I forget, is it a brown bear or a black bear that when you see it, you're supposed to play dead? And if so, what dead song would you play?
Probably Cassidy.
Okay.
Would
Nice.
be the one. But
It's funny.
I don't know if you're supposed to play dead with. I think it's a brown bear because a black bear is probably going to be more intimidated by you.
Oh, okay.
So they're more likely to run.
Well, people underestimate the danger that black bears and brown bears pose.
I
right?
feel like
Don't
if I
they?
saw
mean,
a bear of any color, I don't think I would underestimate anything about it.
well, I wouldn't.
what about a koala bear? Like, stand back, get back behind me.
They're the nastiest of all the bears I hear. Like of all the bears, you do not want to mess with a koala bear.
What do they do?
Which is kind of the inspiration of Yoda. They kind of sound like.
They will claw your eyes out. They are nasty little bears. They are not to be reckoned with. If you see a koala bear on one side you walk to the other side of the street. You do not want to do anything to a koala bear.
I'd love to see a
Really?
movie
Is
of
that true?
angry koala bears.
It is. Koala bears are very angry. They're not. You think they're cute and they're
Yeah.
cuddly. They will rip your face off.
So I wonder if it's just because they have so much aggression because they are like so cute that people think they're not really a bear.
They're sick of people coming up to them and squeezing their belly and their
so
cheeks
cute.
and giving them hugs.
cute. Okay.
So they develop this natural defense.
Eating eucalyptus trees. That's the weirdest thing about koalas is that because the gut bacteria to eat eucalyptus is so important, they have to feed their young their own fecal matter in order so they have that bacteria in their own bellies, the young bellies, so then they can digest the eucalyptus.
Oh my gosh,
This
really?
is new information.
You never knew that koala
Never
parents
heard that
feed
before.
their fecal matter to their young?
That makes
Ellie's
sense
never
to
even
me.
heard that koalas are dangerous.
I didn't hear they were dangerous, but now this fecal transplanting idea, it was really like, that's cutting edge
But it's
science.
This is a family show. I will have you know.
So I answered a question. Who's next? Should I hold the hat now?
All right. Well, you're going to have to hold it for Craig and for me.
Okay,
Craig,
so
I'm handing
LA's
it
going
over to
last
you.
today. All right. Oh, that's right. This is a Thomas special. I know because it's in 3-point size font.
That's right. It's
You
a
need my
red pen.
glasses.
Very aggressive.
Wow. Oh no, what? What is the strangest tradition, in your opinion, that I've come across in life? My own family's tradition on the first birthday of a of any of the kids or anything like that, they're in their high chair and they get their cake and everything like that. And then at the end of it, they're presented with 3 items, 3 trinkets. And whichever trinket they choose is supposed to choose the direction they'll go in life. So there's a cross, a dollar bill, and a shot glass. And
No.
and then
Is that
so
still practiced?
Catholicism, Christianity, as far as I know.
No. Did you actually give 3 items to your own children?
I think my oldest was probably one of the last people that was part of that tradition, and then things families start to change and things like that.
Which trinket did she choose?
I'll have to go back to the. I'm pretty sure
you don't even remember, so it wasn't even that important of a tradition for you.
I wasn't expecting to be prompted on it today
because he chose the shot glass. That's why I can't
clearly
remember.
You chose the shot glass.
I'm pretty sure all kids choose the shot glass because it's the nicest, shiniest thing in front of you. A dollar bill is ugly and a cross, maybe there's something for the jewelry, the gold might be shiny enough, but I think the dollar bill is pretty much out. I don't know if anybody in our family's ever chosen the dollar bill.
It's better to have fun than money, I guess. That's what your family tradition is.
That doesn't happen. Excellent. No, nobody drinks whiskey.
I know. I'm sure of it. Yeah.
That's this question now. We will be burning these questions so that nobody will ever be able to be asked that question again.
See, now I know which ones I wrote because the paper's going to feel funny, so I'm just going to.
So you need to take a small one then. Is that how it works?
I wrote this one.
Look at how big that. First of all, look at how big that piece of paper is.
Look at that front. It's like size 5.
That's the size of the Declaration of Independence right there. And apparently we were out of scissors when we did this.
We were out of scissors. But it's a perfect question for me because it is, what is your least favorite candy?
You chose the softball question out of the hat. Are you serious?
Got to be those like Brock's coconut Neapolitan squares.
What?
I don't like those. I'm leaning also maybe towards circus peanuts.
Oh, yeah. Right, yeah, I'm with you on that one.
With slight flavor.
But sometimes I think I like them.
Have you ever spit out candy in your life, Ellie
Yes,
Bass?
I did. I once ate a piece of like green Christmas candy, and I think it had too much like coloring in it or something. It was terrible, and it actually made me sick, I think.
You could taste the excess of coloring in the candy?
So there was one time in your life that you spit out candy, and you could recall that in the drop of a hat.
There was a lot of detail in that, Craig.
Would you eat that Neapolitan coconut thing if you were starved, if you were at the desert island hunger, no sweets, and that's all there is?
Totally. I would totally eat that.
Yeah, of course. What kind of question is that? Absolutely.
So I guess then maybe it's not I guess maybe there isn't a least favorite candy. I mean, I guess if you don't like coconut, then there would be. But I mean, what about you, Thomas?
I'm trying to think like in Craig's scenario, if I was on an island and I'm presented with the candy that I despise the most, which I'm not even sure what Gummy Worms. If I was trapped on an island and all I had was a huge case of Gummy Worms that had floated up on the box from the Haribo
That is my hell.
Gummy candy, that would be terrible. I can't think of a worse scenario.
What's wrong with Gummy Worms?
Gummy makes me physically ill.
I would rather starve on a desert island than be forced to eat Gummy Worms for the rest of my life.
Right.
There's a brand that they have A's on the tummies of all like their gummy bears. And I can't remember the name, Albros or something like that.
That's the Scarlet Letter, I believe.
the Nathaniel Hawthorne candy collection.
Those gummy bears are all adulterers, I'll have you know.
Guys, I think that's going to wrap up our episode here for
I think so.
Episode 6, actually episode 5 when you count the publishing dates. The Great Beaver Fiasco is on Supper Club Media on YouTube. You can like and follow us there. Keep up to date with all the episodes as they drop. You can also listen to us on Spotify and Podbean. And if you like social media, LA, where can the good people that follow the Fiasco find us?
You can find the Great Beaver Fiasco on Facebook and Instagram.
That will do it. Any final words of wisdom or unwisdom?
Mission accomplished.
That will do it for the Great Beaver Fiasco.
So close. Almost got it this time.
Oh, there we go.
That was good. Actually an hour.
That was an hour.
I was going to call you out when you called it a